Hey Rick, what comes before part B?
Part A! We are making carnitas. Today I am making double pork carnitas because, you know, one type of pork wasn't enough. We're using two, pork shoulder and pork belly. And to top it all off, we're not making regular pico de gallo. We're making green pico de gallo with fresh tomatillos. So let's get started. I'm making fresh homemade corn tortillas with fresh masa. Corn tortillas in this country suck. In Mexico, the tortillas are so much better because a lot of the restaurants and the taquerias are using fresh nixtamalized corn. But there are, believe it or not, places in the United States that you can get fresh masa. And so that's what we're gonna do today. This is fresh masa. Sometimes you actually need to kind of work it a little bit, see how it's a little bit crumbly. You want it to hold its shape a little better. So we're gonna add a little bit of water to it. I also bought some blue corn masa and some white corn masa. Each one has a unique flavor. I think that the yellow masa has a slightly more intense corn flavor than the white or the blue. I like to put about a half teaspoon of salt per pound in my dough, just so that I can actually taste more of the corn. That is completely optional and not very traditional. So we're just gonna put that in. I'm gonna pulse the mixer just to break the dough up. The amount of water that you add to the dough is gonna vary. I would definitely start on the low side, so maybe about a quarter cup at a time. And all you want to have happen is you want the dough to come together. It's gonna separate from the side of the bowl, which it's starting to do, and it's gonna hold its shape. All right, I'm gonna add just a touch more. This is the texture that you want. It should hold its shape and it shouldn't stick to the palm of your hand. You'll get a little bit of this sort of corn dust, and that's actually really good because that will ensure that the corn will not stick to your hand once you're going to make the tortillas. All right, so this is actually ready to go. So I've set up my little tortilla station. I have my absolute pride and joy tortilla press. This is my tortilla skillet, and I mean, definitely if you're making tortillas for a crowd, you probably do want a griddle. Just make sure that if the surface is not smooth, that you use a lot of oil. You need some kind of a liner. I prefer using a freezer bag. It's just cut a square or a circle to fit the shape of your tortilla press. I have the skillet preheating on medium-high. I'm gonna brush just a little bit of oil. I want to see a little bit of smoke coming off of the skillet before I drop anything down, just to make sure that it's pretty hot. So this is slightly larger than a ping pong ball. So I'm going to put it in the center of the press. Going to give it a little press. Close the lid. You want to just give nice, slow, even, steady pressure. Just push down and hold it. And you'll feel when the tortilla stops giving that means it's fully pressed. And there it is. Just peel that off and then put it down. So you can see the skillet's nice and hot. I'm going to lower the temp a little bit. You want this on a nice medium flame. So this is what I look for. So you see the dry corn on this side, and you see this really beautiful yellow golden color on that side. And that means it's ready to flip. Okay, and that's what you want the second side to look like. A little bit of browning. I like to hold them wrapped in a towel. You could wrap it in foil. You just want to keep it warm. I think that'll be enough for a party. What do you think?
Oh yeah.
So this is pork shoulder. This is one of my favorite parts of the pig because it is so super flavorful. There's a small taqueria in El Centro near the Zocalo in Mexico City, and they literally have this cauldron where all of these different cuts of meat, sausages and beef and pork are all just confying. And the flavor that you get out of those tacos is incredible. And so that's kind of what I wanted to do with this recipe. I wanted to almost confit the pork in its own fat. Surprisingly, there is actually not enough fat to do that with just the pork shoulder. So I've added some pork belly. So this is 3 pounds of pork shoulder. And this is 1 pound of belly cubed. And a lot of times if you get fresh belly, it still has the rind on. It's totally fine. It's gonna braise and get really soft and tender. No need to take that off. I have pepper, I have salt, and I have chicken stock. If you don't have chicken stock, you can use water. It's going to be fine. Some people actually on the recipe comment section have said that they use beer in this. Also delicious. So I'm going to put this on the stove. All right. I'm going to start it off high just to get it simmering. Once it comes up to a boil, I'll reduce it down to low. You just want a really slow, gentle simmer. So this is good to go. All right, so it's been about 2.5 hours. This is what these guys look like. There's some accumulated juices. Pretty much this meat is falling apart, barely holding its shape. There's a lot of fat in there, which is exactly what I want. So I am going to transfer this over. I know you're probably thinking, Jesus, that's a lot of fat. And you're right, it is a lot of fat. But that is what is going to fry up the pork. You can see now we're already starting to get that beautiful brown color. The longer you let this go, the more the pork shoulder will start to shred apart, which is not bad, because you'll start to get these like little crispy shreds, which is kind of fun. It's like really beautiful golden brown. Yes, it makes a mess, I know, but some things are just worth it. So these are tomatillos. So this is not actually related to a tomato, even though a lot of people think that it is simply a green tomato. It is not. It's actually a fruit related to the husk cherry or the gooseberry. You can actually make pies with this, make just sweet jams, but it is also very good with salsas. I always take this little core out using the tip of a very sharp knife, and then basically you can just cut them into thin pieces and then just do little cuts. You just want a small dice, and I just happen to have some already chopped. Add those. To that, we are going to add about 1/4 of a chopped red onion. I like the red onion in here because it's pretty aggressive, but also that color contrast is really gorgeous. I'm using jalapenos. These are seeded only because I don't know who is going to be eating this today, and I don't want anybody to freak out because it's too hot. This is 2 cloves of grated garlic. I am going to season this pretty generously. And I have some freshly squeezed lime juice, 3 tablespoons. And so pretty. I'm gonna taste this. It's really good. I'm using mint and cilantro.
Oh, hi, Andy. I'm tasting this.
Yeah, did you taste them?
Yeah.
We've got all 3.
I love this. I like all of them, though, I have to be honest. I like the flavor, yes, but I think I'm just so happy with the texture because you don't usually get it from any tortilla you would buy from the
I like
store.
them on the thicker side because, well, especially the way I fill my tacos, I like, put a lot of
need to have
salsa.
to,
yeah.
And also, like, half the time you almost would get double tortillas, so I feel I would rather go with this than, like, 2.
Yeah, and these aren't going to
thin
disintegrate on
tortillas.
you. Yeah. Plus, they're just pretty.
No.
I mean, all right, I am pretty happy with that. All right. It's kind of like a little build-your-own-adventure story. I'm going to use all the things. This pork looks so beautiful against these tortillas. When I was little, I hated this part. I thought that lettuce and cabbage just had no place in tacos. This is cilantro. Almost universally, you're always going to see chopped white onion and cilantro at any taco bar. This is dried oregano. Italian oregano is a little bit more intense and a little bit more bitter. Mexican oregano tends to be a little bit more floral and a little more mild. Avocado, if you had guacamole, that would be amazing. Wow. I want to eat this right now. So I invited a few friends because, I felt really guilty about eating all of this by myself. I'm gonna have this one.
Yeah, we'll put a little bit of these.
Here, just go over Gabby's
Can
head.
I just pick in this?
Can we just go with your hands?
Use your hands.
I wash my hands.
All right, taco cheers.
Oh, you are picking and choosing.
Oh, yeah.
This is my 3rd lunch of the day, and it's awesome.
It's for you.
This is so good. I know.
We're all busy eating. I haven't seen these guys in like months. We can't even talk because I'm just stuffing our faces. You need to make these. No, and make tortillas. They're so much better than the crap you buy at the store.
Yeah, this is
Was it difficult to make? No.
Yeah, watch the
Yeah,
video.
you learn in the video.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right.